Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day. Good morning, traders and investors. Welcome to this Friday morning edition of Benzinga's PreMarket Prep. Spencer Israel here with Joel Elconin and Dennis Dick. On today's show, we got some earnings for you still from the last quarter. Costco, China specifically. Going to talk about, of course, that big jobs report we're going to get at 8:30 today. Wondering if that'll move the market. Netflix is increasing its prices. That's interesting as well. Our guest today will be Tommy Lackey. He's the managing partner and portfolio manager at Relativity Capital Advisors. Getting Tommy on for the first time in a couple months, so very, very exciting there. Joel, what's news in the market?
S&P's a 1.75 range, 49.75. That's your high. Yesterday's high, your all-time high, 2550.75. Our close right there at 2550 even, and the downside right here, right now, 48 even. Minor support at 2545, and then we're looking into the 2530 handle, but we all know we're not going down there. Gold just hanging out above the 1270 level here, just before the jobs report. Gold does make some good moves off the jobs number, more than the S&Ps do, so we'll keep an eye on that. Silver, unchanged here, 1664. And crude oil, boy, this thing's been volatile this week. Up one day, down the next. Just hanging out at the all-important $50 level. Couple lows over the last couple sessions here at 50, so big psychological level. Dennis, new low in the S&P here. Are you just trading up a storm?
There's so much volatility here. I can't even handle it. Actually, we're breaking down here, Joel.
Oh.
People are nervous ahead of this report. Talk to me about this overnight range.
Now it's, we just expanded the 2.25.
2.25, 2-point range.
Yeah, sellers.
Wow, what trading opportunities there are out there.
I mean, look at it this way. You can't lose more than, 2.25 points, right? If you buy the low.
Low risk.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, this is how, the market, thickens up. Because when it's 2.25-point range, all your market makers are getting more and more aggressive because, they got to get a little bit bigger to make them more money. So it gets more liquid and more liquid, thicker and thicker and thicker. That happens on the stocks as well. Market thickens up and the market goes nowhere. It's all to do with liquidity. I mean, that's everything with the market and why, volatility is low or volatility is high. The thicker the market gets, the more orders that get on the book, the thicker it gets, the less volatility you're going to have.
Yeah, we've actually had this 2.5-point range going back to just after that 415 close. So you can see on the illustrated here on the chart how tight we've been. But we're in the red for now. But we'll see what happens off the jobs number.
So 8:30, we're going to get the jobs number. Does it matter? I'm asking you, Spencer, Joel. Does the jobs report matter?
No, I don't think it matters.
I think at the end of the day, I'm calling it now ahead of this report, and obviously you can quote me on the air here, 8:04 a.m. I say the market closes higher no matter what. I don't know if it opens higher. I think we close higher no matter what. My reasoning is, okay, if you get a hot number, say, the jobs come in a little bit hot, financials will get a pop, because they say, interest rates, could potentially go up there. And so financials get a pop. Market might sell off a little bit, but then it'll come back because financials will lead the way. So, you'll have everybody coming in there leading the way, and financials are leading us out of this, and the market will turn around and go higher. If it's not so hot number, financials maybe take a little bit of dip because they say, maybe interest rates, are going to not go up as quickly, potentially as quickly with this new data coming in, then that's good for the market. Lower interest rates is good for the market. So heads, the market wins. Tails, the market wins. I say we close higher no matter what the jobs number is. And Johann Smith making a good argument. He says, nobody cares. It just goes up no matter what. Which is a good argument there, too. I mean, do they even care? Are we going to even get, we're in a 2-point range. Are we going to expand it to 4 points off this jobs number? Maybe, maybe not. Remember we used to get like 10, 15, 20-point ranges. Whipsaw action off the jobs numbers. The last 2, 3, 4 reports, crickets.
What else can you say? The market just goes up, Dennis, right? No matter what.
BTFD. BTFD. Yeah, BTFD forever.
Unless you're looking at Costco today.
Well, and there's always individual stock actions. So there you go. There's always something you can go and trade. So that's a nice thing when you're an equities trader. When you're an S&P trader, you're sitting here scratching your head because, you got a 2-point range to deal with. But after 4 a.m., the stocks open. You can trade stocks, and there's always stocks to trade. Costco had some whipsaw action here. Good report, good numbers. Market doesn't care. Costco's not the kind of stock that's rallying right now. Actually, it was yesterday. It was rallying ahead of the report. But give us the numbers, Spencer, and we'll break down the trading action.
Actually, before we get to Costco, there's other news I want to get to, and I don't know where my Benzinger Pro was yesterday, but my Benzinger Pro missed this one. Okay. Joel Elconin had a birthday.
It is actually
yesterday, and we missed it.
We missed it. We missed Joel's birthday. Everybody's got to send a belated birthday card.
It was not on the Pro, so I didn't see it.
I saw it later on that day, and I sent him a text, and I was like, "Wow, we missed your birthday. We're pretty bad friends there, Joel. Sorry about that."
Don't worry.
Joel didn't even mention it. He tried to sneak that one through.
He kept it hidden.
It's a day after, but thank you very much. As usual, the 54 puts are off the board, worthless.
Yes. Worthless. The 54 puts.
Yes. Start selling those 55s and 56s, and go on the 55 calls. But
55, Joel.
Man.
I remember when you were just a young whippersnapper back in the Bright Trading office in Detroit, 1999. I met you. You were under 40 years old. You're just a young guy.
Yeah. The years fly by when you're having fun.
2 young daughters running around. Years fly by. Now they're away, doing well.
Yeah.
Working.
I'm an old man. What could I say? Maintaining my youth, but you guys on the show and the chat, thanks for the wishes, but we got some markets to talk about.
Joel's trying to quickly change the subject.
Trying to get over it. Okay, fine.
Thank you, Spencer. Thank you, ZZ Steven, Jimmy A, everybody. Thank you. I don't feel a day over 54.
Exactly. It should be. Costco, Q4 EPS $2.08. That may not compare it to the $2.02 estimate. Sales of 42.3 versus $41.6 billion, and so not a bad report there.
The report was decent. The numbers were okay, and right away you can tell. And you've got to look at the trading action there. So the numbers are one thing. I looked at these and I was like, oh, these are good. And I actually went out and bought some Walmart stock and simply because Costco popped up to 170.5. So on that report, I was like, okay, Costco's popping, Walmart, Target. You think right away, even Kroger could get a lift here. Well, I'll tell you, the Costco started coming with big offers about 10, 20 seconds after it popped up there. And I'm like, ooh, I'm wrong here. I turned around and hit my Walmart and got back out. And actually, I made money on it because somebody else had bid behind me. So I was fast enough to get it and then get out. And then I was trying to get short. And it wasn't easy to get short. There just wasn't much in there on the Walmart there. And Costco ended up tanking. And you can say, why? Why is that happening? I mean, it's just whipsaw action. Sometimes it's expectations. Sometimes it's just, for no reason at all. It's just the market wanted to take it lower. It's run up, and in the report, expectations were very high. It was a good number. Few things, though. You start getting back up into that 170 handle. People, look at that and like, whoa, that was the high. It kissed right back to the high on the gap down day after Amazon. They start thinking, oh, Amazon is still coming. It's not in those numbers really yet. They've just bought Whole Foods. It's just getting started over there. So there's excuses to take profits. It had a nice run up here, and people were hitting the bids right away, and then they just kept hitting the bids. And then you've got everybody that bought the stock on the good report. They all get caught because, this is, news algos are buying 167.5, 168, 169, 170, bought all the way up to 170.5 because these are good numbers. Stock is supposed to go up. When stock doesn't do what it's supposed to do, all those news algos are caught. And then they're looking for bids to hit, and there's none to be had, and they hit the thing all the way down. They need to get out. These are short-term traders that were trying to trade the arbitrage of the new information that was coming in, and they are wrong, and they got hit hard. And that's why the stock all of a sudden starts to go down. So a lot of mechanics behind there, usually short-term traders obviously driving it. And that's what you saw yesterday with Costco. And now it is down $6. Actually, not quite that far. It was down $6. It's down $5.67 here in the pre-market. decent report, but a victim of just the market's expectations.
Holding on here at 161. That is your pre-market low. You can see the action currently trading at 161.40. I got a number, one number only. Dennis only likes one number, and that's
one number.
160, 40,
Just one.
160, 46 and a half.
And why that number?
Triple bottom, September 22nd, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. Between 160.40 and 160.52. So that is a target on the downside, a triple bottom there. Of course, a whole number like 160. But if I was short, I'd be trying to bring it in there. And if if you can't bring it in, then, you step it up to the pre-market low. But that's what I'm looking for in Costco. And, it's not as good. I looked at this one yesterday, and I mentioned it in the chat, Shopify yesterday. You see how you got down to that 93.31 earlier in the session? Well,
wowzers.
Yeah, look at the dailies here. And you had, look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lows.
All those lows are in the same area.
That area. I was hoping for a 93 print and, maybe shake them a little bit. And it didn't. They stepped up. So it's not as quite a good a bottom to key on as you had in Shopify yesterday because there were 5 levels. But 3 lows in the same area. I like it there. Especially if I was short, I'd be bringing it in. But we'll see what happens on the upside. Who knows where this thing can go when it goes
Still so incredible that Citron can come out with their story or, they talk about it. The stock was $120. Citron comes out and the stock goes down to $93. Who has that kind of power? It dropped 25%. I mean, he is just awesome. How you have just a license to print money. He can short the stock, write his report, publish his report, and the stock's going to tank on it. It's unbelievable. Like, all hedge funds have always had this, ability here. Warren Buffett even, and obviously, he buys a stock, and then it gets disclosed that he buys a stock. And Warren isn't doing that. Warren isn't one coming out here intentionally doing it. But, when it does eventually get disclosed in the 13D filings, or, if he comes on CNBC and mentions it later, it's going to go up. So they're always getting a 2, 3, 4% gift. This guy gets 20, 30% gifts, Joel, like from the market, just because. I mean, this is just unbelievable, his power. He's more powerful. Like this Warren Buffett, has been the best investor from the 1950s. Andrew Left moves stocks 5 times as much as he does. And maybe it's the stocks he's picking on.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Holy cow. But he did pick on NVIDIA once, and he knocked that down like 30, 40 points. He picks on the bubble stocks, the ones that can fall the farthest, the ones that have really ran up a lot. And, you got to give him props, man. We did this yesterday, too, so I'll talk about this. But I can't stop talking about this guy just because of the influence he has. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I just wondered if, when he actually, if he started shorting this thing at 100, 110, eventually.
Probably not. He probably should, maybe for a day or two. We don't know where he's, but, once he publishes it, he knows he's going to be right. He knows, even if you get down 5% in the position, when it comes in 25%, I mean, you can ring the register. It's unbelievable that the market reacts that much to his reports. And, and you look at him here, and, sometimes he's right in the long run. But NVIDIA, he was very bearish on NVIDIA all the way down. What do you say? It was like $100 stock or $120 stock. It got up to new all-time highs after that report came in. Right away, you can see when he tweeted about it, it was 168 and went all the way down like in the 140s there, but it never got down to like the 120 area he was talking about. And now it's 190. So, it's stock he was probably wrong on, but stock he probably still made money on just because he's so influential.
Right. And he's long-term bullish BlackBerry, and that had a good report. We mentioned that. Big area up there at 1150. We don't need VRX. That's history. That was a long time ago. That stock looks like it's consolidating, but
well, he was right on that one. Dead right on that one.
a must follow on Twitter for sure.
Oh, he's the most influential person on Twitter. No doubt about it. Citron. The only thing disappointing is that it goes down before those tweets come out. All right, jumping back over to the news stocks. There's other news stocks in the minute. One more earnings stock. Let's go to YUM China, YUMC. It's trading up a buck. Spencer, details.
Yep, YUM China reporting there yesterday after the bell. Let me pull up my pro. I'm a little bit slow on the pro draw. There we go. YUM China reporting where are we now? Q2 EPS of Wow. Well, Q3 comps are up 6%. That's really interesting to me. But they had, what was it, earnings, or was it just same store sales and comps? It was just sales. It wasn't earnings.
It wasn't earnings?
No, it was just same store sales and
Okay.
comps. So
Okay.
6% same store sales growth and 10% same store sales growth year over year. Operating profit up 11% year over year. I mentioned the Q3 comps up 6%. They announced a CEO succession plan. They're adding a buyback, $250 million. So the buyback plus good same store sales and good comps.
That's got the stock popping here in the pre-market. Stocks trading up about $1. Joel, give us some details on the technicals.
Good, nice pop here, and that initial pop took it to 42 even, and that coincides with that's over the former all-time high. So you are making a new all-time high in the session. Former all-time high was 40 no, it was 42. I'm going back to the wrong month here. 42.12. That was your high in June. 42 even. That's your pre-market high. So another buck is where you have your resistance. Holding on to a buck gains right now. If you can't hold 41, not a lot in here until you get down to yesterday's close at 39.97. So we'll see if this 41 can hold up. All-time high 42.12.
Spinner making a great point in the chat. Also, they added a dividend. They weren't paying a dividend before, and I believe that they did add a dividend. Spencer, do you have that number of the dividend?
I'm hunting it down.
All right, Spencer will go hunt that dividend. But that's what Spinner's talking about in the chat, and investors love dividends. I mean, when all of a sudden you got a dividend there, they're all over it. So jumping over here to...
So wait, also I should add that I'm trying to, my mistake, did have earnings. It was 53 cents.
I thought they had earnings.
Okay, you're not crazy. 53 cents versus a 56 cent estimate was the EPS.
10-cent dividend.
Yep.
Spinner and John Dodson all over it. Thank you, chat, for that. Jumping over, they want to talk Netflix. Johan Smith, NFLX, new all-time highs yesterday. Stock blasted off into orbit. Some of the leaders, the former leaders that had kind of become laggards, are starting to become leaders again. So if I haven't confused you enough, that means your Netflix. That means your FANG trades. Facebook close to all-time highs. Google close to all-time highs. Amazon had a great day yesterday bouncing back, while Netflix hits new all-time highs, and now you think 200 is imminent.
Exactly. I was just going to bring that up, Dennis. 194.39 went out a dime off the high of the session, trading up in the pre-market. You got someone that has a little bit of an opinion here at the 195.70 area, 69.70, basis the 15-minute chart here. Little bit of resistance. I don't know if someone's just trying to nibble out of some stock, but we'll see if we can get into the 200 handle here in Netflix, raising prices.
NFLX, 200 is the number on that one. Jumping over here to, we're kind of going all over the place here today, so if there's any specific stocks you want to talk about, let us know. But I'm going to jump into ratings lane a little bit early today because there's quite a few interesting ones here. Starting right with one of the airlines, Spirit Air, SAVE. I own it in my investment portfolio. I might be buying some for a swing trade on a pullback too. Deutsche Bank is downgrading the stock here this morning. I believe Deutsche Bank is late to the party because I think these airlines turned. LUV, big run up here. AAL, big run up here. Delta Air, big run up here. Save has not had the run up of the other ones, so it is a little bit of the laggard there, but it's come off the low, $30 we got down to there just a couple weeks ago. Had a couple of decent days. Now it's pulling back in. It really consolidated in the 33 to 34 area. I'd love it to get back down there, just take another shot. I think Deutsche Bank downgraded day could give you that shot. I think this SAVE sets up interesting here.
It sure does here. Nice day a couple days ago, pulling back a little bit. See what happens at this $34 area. If in fact we can get down there, we did close at 35.19. Let's see if they're peppering it here. Not much trade. I see a trade at 34.74. The reason I like this $34 area is because there was a lot of other lows in that area, and I can count them up for you. Actually, it's in the 33 handle. We got a ways to go before you see 33, between 33 even and 33.50. You had a lot of lows. So if waiting to buy a pullback, perhaps wait for the lower 33s.
Spinner saying JetBlue is also a laggard. Good call there, Spinner, because the stock was 18 and it did pull. It did get up to 20. Major resistance up at 20, but it hasn't really. If it could ever get up over 20, it'd be in breakout mode again. But it sets up interesting too. If JetBlue is to get back down in the mid 18s again, you're right back to the area where you broke out from. So not shown chasing. There's a lot of resistance up there. I kind of like the Save setup a little bit better. Also maybe valuation. I like Save a little bit better, although I have not analyzed JBLU. But JetBlue has lagged as well.
Yeah, you can see clearly just under 20. You have that major resistance, but knocking on that door actually did 3 days ago. And then multiple lows here for JetBlue, just under 1850. So maybe get a chance at that today if there's weakness in the airlines.
Dr. J wants to talk FireEye, FEYE. This is a stock that I pumped on the show for a couple of days there. Wish I would have bought it myself. But, I was talking about this when this was $16.80, $17, and I said I liked the chart. I said it 2 days in a row if you go back to the tape. That was when it was $16.80. It's now $17.80 here, so it's been in breakout mode. I still like FireEye. It's ran a little bit. Maybe I'm not chasing it up here now, but if it pulls back, I'm a buyer of pullbacks on FEYE.
Yeah, we'll see if it can stick around and hang around this 18 number. I remember when 16 for a while, they danced and finally broke out above 16. 17 gave it a little resistance, 1750 pullback. Now you're going into the 18 handle. If you're looking for a major target, I don't think we're going to get there today. 1842. That was your high back in July of 2016. So if you're looking for a target in the 18 handle in FireEye, there you go, 1842.
Dr. J also wants to know about Bristol Myers. This is another one that I had, and I sold it, and then I never rebought it, and I should have when it got down there to 50. I wanted to rebuy. I was looking, this is good value down here. Eventually, these big, especially the pharmaceutical companies, the majors that pull back, when they have these significant pullbacks from 75 to $50, it always seems like a long-term buying opportunity. It was in this case as well. It kind of applies to all the big companies. I mean, and as long as, the whole story hasn't changed, like when we talked about Walmart before, and when JP Morgan has big pullback, when you get these opportunities where good companies are sold off for specific events, and obviously Bristol Myers was a drug. Long term, they seem to come back, and when markets are at all-time highs, usually it's always the case. Bristol Myers has come back a long ways from those lows. Now it's at $64. Now it's like, okay, well, we've run up a long ways now, so I don't know if I can chase it up here, but it still looks good. BMY.
64.79. That marks the high of the move. That's the high that you had. Actually, three highs. Let me give them to you: 478, 479, and 479. So just ahead. Maybe a big seller at the point, hitting bids in the upper 64 handle. Coming back on the downside. Took out yesterday's low, 63.73. Just kind of hanging there in the pre-market. Not a lot to lead on here. If you do take out that 63.73, your 5-day low, 63.06. But consolidation here, made a new high. Now it looks like it's pulling back.
Jumping over to ISRG. This is John Dodson's talking about this one. Haven't looked at this chart in a while, but it's been a monster as well. What's happening here this morning with ISRG? It must be 3-for-1 split. Assuming it's a split.
Is it only 3-for-1? Let's see.
I don't know. Well, the math would be about 3-for-1, right? 1,089 closes 363. I think we did a 3-for-1 split in ISRG.
Wow. Yeah, they did. No, I know they were talking about it. John Dodson was talking about the run up ahead of it. And
yeah, really ran ahead of it. Wow.
Yeah.
So, okay, good teaching tool here. ISRG, typically when you do see these splits, you typically do see them run up ahead of it. And typically the next morning they open up a little bit because you probably got some people who, and this does happen. Some platforms don't adjust orders. So sometimes, actually, I'm just curious. I'm going to go look. Oh, it's a NASDAQ stock. I won't be able to actually see a New York book on it. But sometimes you have some orders that sit out there that push it up because they've still got $1,000 order out there. And that can push the price higher. Believe me, this happens actually. So there's a lack of adjustment from a few platforms out there. So you get a couple dozen orders that are sitting out there perched too high, can make the stock open a little bit too high. So that's what you typically see happen. It opens a little bit too high, but then it often comes in. And usually by the end of the day, sometimes it's actually down on the day. So that's, the trade is usually to buy it ahead of the split, sell it on the open the next day, and then or even sell short sometimes when they open the next day, and then often by that close it ends up coming in. So if that was to hold, I'm not saying it's going to work in this case, nothing works 100% of the time. If that was to hold, the prediction would be that this closes below 363 today.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that new all-time high. Do we have any news in the crude oil market here? I just noticed we are tanking here quite a bit. 8 cents off the lower of the day. What's going on? Any news in the crude market?
No, I didn't see
That's a
anything.
big move.
The thing I mentioned earlier on the pre-market show was the big energy deal in Canada that was canceled. But I don't think that would affect the crude market as a whole. So
okay,
I don't see.
All right, just pulling back here. This is took out a low that we had 49.76. That was your 3-day low here. What some negative momentum here. SPOs are going down a little bit off this. We made a new low at 47.25, but
that's good for the airlines too.
Yeah, it is good for the
crude starts coming in. You know what? Not to call out Gartman here, but he got all bullish on CNBC, and everybody was joking that's going to be the top because Gartman sometimes swings a lot, and he sometimes gets some things wrong. Man, that was the actual top of it when Gartman came on really bullish crude. So in this case, Gartman was wrong. So, and crude's down here again here today. So that was at 10.55, I believe, the USO, and Gartman was getting bullish. And it's $10 here now, so he's under some water. It's a problem when you're flipping all the time. You're flipping the script and you're going, from bullish to bearish all the time. You get whipsawed a lot in these types of markets. These markets that aren't really that trendy. I mean, we're trendy to the upside, but crude has kind of been all over the place. When you look at it and you're trying to say, okay, I think there's a trend here. I think it's starting to go higher. I think it's starting to go lower. There's been really no real longer term trend here in the last 2 years in crude. It's just range bound. Okay. I mean, every time it gets up to the 50s, there's sellers. Every time it gets a little bit lower, there's buyers. So it's been a range, and that's why it's difficult with strategies like Gartman does, trend following strategies, to play something like crude right now because the trend has not been your friend in crude.
I just looking at this coming out of the Google chat from Jar Jar. He's asking about Boyd Gaming here, BYD, and I'm looking. I didn't see any news on this yesterday, but it had one heck of a day. Nice run up, closed near the high of the session. Is that an all-time high here in Boyd Gaming? Let's go to a longer term chart. Oh no, this was a $59 stock. The only thing to look for in this one, for me, strong close, strong rally, trading down the pre-market. You don't want to see this momentum slow. You want to take out yesterday's high at 27.39, boom, 27.50, 20. Keep going up to keep the momentum. We had a big range yesterday. Now, if it can't hold the close there at 27.18, you might get a chance to bring it in a little bit cheaper. But if you're prescribing the Dennis's 2-day move here, boom, you want to take out that high early in the session, perhaps get up to a whole number like 28. But nice move in Boyd Gaming yesterday.
1 minute before the jobs number here. I will just say somebody is jumping the gun. The financials are catching a bid. They've been catching a bid for the last 20 minutes, and now you're looking at stocks like Citi, Bank of America. They're all up a little bit here, and the S&Ps are starting to leak. I think somebody's jumped the gun here. I'm anticipating a little bit of a hot number. So I'm going to go trade this. I think this is going to be a hot number. That's what the market thinks too. I think financials could get a pop.
All right. Then just
here's what we're looking for here. Sure. Non-farm payrolls, we're looking for 90,000 jobs. Private payrolls, we're looking for 83,000 jobs. Unemployment, we're looking for an unemployment rate of 4.4%. So that is what we are expecting. 90,000 for the non-farm, 83 for the private, and 4.4% unemployment. Joel, what exactly is happening?
The SPOs are, we're showing some weakness here. If you want to call it that, we're trading down 275, and I think that you can attribute that right now to the falling crude oil prices. Market taking a cue from the crude oil market. If we start to go into reverse here, Spencer, there's not a lot of support. Here we got some breaking news with the jobs report, and what's moving here, Spencer? You let me know when you see it. S&P futures, they're not moving. Is there something wrong with my machine here? Oh, we dipped.
Non-farm was minus 33,000 jobs. Non-farm minus 33,000.
Okay, and we got a little bit of a...
Either minus 40,000.
Okay. crickets here in the market. We are still continuing lower. Crude's continuing lower. Go ahead, Spencer.
4.2% unemployment. So minus 33,000 for non-farm, minus 40,000 for private, 4.2% unemployment. So remember, 90, 83, and 4.4 was the estimates, and we missed on everything.
Really? So that means interest rates aren't not going to be going up the rest of the year. It might not be good for the financials, but we'll get Dennis's here take on it in just a few seconds. Unemployment rate for September, 4.2%. We hit 45 and a quarter. That your daily pivot. That's the only number I can come up here with these levels. 45 evens the daily pivot. You hit 45 and a quarter. What I'm looking here on the rebound is, can we retake 47.50? That's mid-range on the day. You have the old-time closing high up above that. Nice round number, 25.50. And your high print from yesterday was 25.50.75. I'm seeing here labor says 1.47 million people not at work because of bad weather. Well, I don't know that,
So government jobs, the government job sector was the only sector that saw an increase. Government jobs were up 7,000 in a month, but government payrolls. But I do agree, that this has to be weather related. There's no other solution that I can think of where this isn't weather related.
All right, coming back here now, we're looking at mid range on the session. It's off 47.50. So got the dip. I guess we've had a little bit more movement off this jobs number than others. But if we wait for Dennis to come back on, or we got our guest coming up. Who's our guest today, Spencer?
Oh, you didn't really forget Tommy Lackey.
That's right, Tommy
Lackey, managing partner of Relativity Capital Advisors. But this seems like a hotter number. I think since I've been here for the last 2 years, the
financials are popping. The financials are hot off this. So I don't know what you guys saying. Financials going to be weak. The financials took right off on this. So market was right again. Like I said it right before, 30 seconds before the report, or a minute before the report. The banks were catching a bid. They were already, you could see it ahead of the report. Somebody had the number, because the banks were starting to catch a bid. They were a little bit bid all morning, but right 5 minutes before the report, they all started getting bid. Now, if you look, Bank of America's trading up almost 1%, Citi's trading up 0.5%, JP Morgan's trading up, Wells Fargo. So as of right now, Wells Fargo ticked. I don't know what that is. It's a bad tick. It's trading up here though too.
Yep.
As of right now, Bank of America is your best indicator because it's got the most liquidity, and it's trading up 22 cents right now. So almost 1% here now on Bank of America. I did buy some Bank of America ahead of the report just because it looked like somebody knew something. So I don't know if I'm going to sell that. We'll see, but. It's tells. I mean, this is reading the tells, and the market was telling you that this number, that the banks, the financials were going to like this number.
And what about the action in the SPOOs here, Dennis?
The cricket's there.
Well, there's a little, downside pressure.
TLT sold off a little bit. Obviously, it's impacting, the financial assets more than anything. So you start thinking, XLU down a little bit here, gold's down a little bit there, but direct beneficiary right here, right now, at least. And the things can change. This could turn around and go down. But on the initial number here, banks caught a bid.
Yeah. Just Goldman Sachs, that thing has been a beast. We have that trading up here. $1.94. Want to think about maybe 250 in Goldman Sachs. You had a high at 249.68. That was back on March 17th. So once that thing took out 230, paused at 240, now headed for 250. I'm trying to see what the all-time high is here in Goldman Sachs. It's taken a while. Oh, we're getting right up there near the all-time high. The all-time high in Goldman Sachs, 250. Oh no, 255.15. We made that only at the beginning of the year. All right, Spencer, you wanna take a break, or you want to bring Tommy in on the fly?
Let's take a break. So we'll be right back with Tommy Lackey. He's the managing partner and PM at Relativity Capital Advisors. Always has some really good charts and some trading ideas for us. So we'll be right back with Tommy.
I've got a bunch of banks I want to go trade out of, Joel, so I'm going to let you run with this.
Are we actually off everywhere? All right, I'm checking real quick. Joel, you didn't mute us. Welcome back, everyone, to Benzinga's pre-market prep. Spencer Israel here with Joel Elconin and Dennis Dick. We're on the line with Tommy Lackey, managing partner and PM at Relativity Capital Advisors. Tommy, long time no speak. How's it going?
Doing great, guys. How are y'all doing this morning?
Doing pretty well. Just kind of getting through the market. That was a pretty interesting jobs number we just had. Thoughts on that, if you saw it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely going to shake people up a little bit early, but the reality is it'll probably shake out within the next few months on revisions and things like that. So I wouldn't read too terribly much into it. Most of the other economic numbers we've been seeing and all that are still pretty solid. So I wouldn't expect it to be a organic situation.
All right, Tommy, it's been a while since we've had you on. This market has just been incredible as of late. I hope the markets have been treating you well. Just a broad question here. I mean, I know you like to buy things on pullbacks, and boy, I mean, have you had to adjust your style at all? Perhaps, trading more of the breakouts, because I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot of these stocks really pull back to levels. It just seems like it's more of a breakout.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, you are seeing both. It's just kind of hard to find them. It's one of those areas to where just having to do continual scans and do them a lot to see where you are. My process has changed a lot since we started the new portfolios that we're running with Joe Kunkel. And in that scenario, we do a lot of tight consolidation. They don't have to pull back too far, but if you can get a real tight consolidation, it can be a good opportunity that gives you a very, very good risk to rewards or reward to risk type scenario, allowing you to know if you're wrong. And that's one of the things that makes it a little easier to buy on something that someone would consider, in a trend or already quote unquote gone by some people's measures.
All right, let's move into some stocks on your radar here and tell us, what filter it is. Let's start with PFPT.
Well, I'll have to say these really aren't any particular filters. This is going back from literally going through every one of these charts every weekend. We have narrowed down to about 500, 600 stocks that really have the fundamentals and the background that we want to see. And then we look for those pullbacks and things like that give us good entry points on specific lists we have. And PFPT is one that shows up on the list. It's a kind of an elite growth play out there, and it's in a good, strong consolidation. Now, this would be a breakout play if it goes.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about that a second ago. But it's basically just showed good resilience, moved sideways for about almost 3 months now, 4 months, maybe a little longer even. And then and coming up to the top of that range. So a move over 94 here could have some strength. It's also starting to get some better volume footprints as it moves back up here as well.
All right, volume coming in for confirmation. What about the letter Q?
Q is one, again, that was on one of the lists that came up this weekend. And it's a scenario to where you had a tight range. It's just now starting to move out of. Again, this is one that if you look on the weekly, it's still in a very strong trend. But on the daily, it's been in a sideways to pullback after a gap higher on some news in late August. And so it gapped higher, it pulled back, filled that gap, but it's now held a pretty strong volume area and starting to kind of round back up the right side.
Yeah, mound of support there at the $94 level. That was also the area where it broke out from in August. So old resistance, new support, and banging on the door here, breaking out, trying to break out over 96. Also on your...
Yeah, and that's a good example.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Before we go on with that one, that's a good example, though, of your idea of a pullback to where it doesn't really feel like it's that big of a pullback. But when you get this nice sideways move as it holds on that support, it can be a real good opportunity.
All right. Also on your radar, RND. Tell us about the technical and fundamental setup in RND.
Okay, RMD, again, is another one of those elite growth names. It's a good that Joe has identified in his research and his analysis. And then, it's pulled back to a good solid area for us in that 75, 76 level, and now looking like it wants to potentially pop. On this one, you almost would have to – I would still call this a breakout, but it's a breakout from this small consolidation. It's not a highs breakout. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for it to break over that, and then you can use the different important moving averages or that recent low as your trade against level.
Could you give me that symbol once again?
RM as in major.
Oh, okay.
All
right. All right. Once again, a Tommy Lackey setup here came off the high, found a buyer at 76, and now it looked like a 78 on the upside. Not much between 78 and 80. All right. I think I got the symbol right on this one. BAX, Baxter.
Yeah, BAX, this is just one we've liked for a while. Again, another decent-sized growth name and a good-sized company out there. It has been moving higher in a nice, strong weekly trend, and the daily trend has just come off into support and in that previous breakout level. Now, I like these because a lot of people will call them failed breakouts, but if it just barely moves below that last breakout and then finds support, when it breaks back above that particular layer area, it can have a pretty nice boost there to get it back up towards those highs or better.
All right. YNDX, Yandex. What's your technical setup in this issue?
Well, this is one that's a combination of both. Has decent fundamentals. It's been a strong play, strong weekly trend, but it's also got a tremendous amount of options activity into it going into the next probably 3 to 6 months. And that's one of the areas to where a lot of it's in this area and a little bit higher and gives it a good support level. I put notes on it this weekend and basically pretty much said that its bullish options are freaking stacked as we keep moving through November and beyond.
All right. Moving on here. Also, GWRE. What are you looking for in this issue?
GWRE is another smaller growth play. Now, today they did just make a purchase, so careful with that before you take a look and see where they open up. It looks like they may be gapping down on that purchase. But if you look here again, you have that surge and then a nice tight consolidation. The 50-day moving average is at 74.49. I'd be interested to see if that's where it maybe holds. In fact, that's where it seems to be price-wise right in that area right now. If that holds and you start to see a reversal, if you're quick, you can play a bounce play. But when you have a purchase like this, you want to kind of let it settle out and make sure that people appreciate it, okay, as y'all have talked about.
Yeah, nice level to keep an eye on here. We are trading at 74.36, so I'll just go to the pre-market chart and show you there. 74.35 last print. I see something on the dailies here, and you got two lows in the 73 handle, not too far from each other. 73.42, that was your low on September 7th, and below that 72.97. So some support in the lower 73 handle. Let's see if it gets there today. OLED, tell us about that one, Tommy.
Okay, OLED is another one that has some good options. Open interest out there moving forward, and you've got this pullback into a really nice tight consolidation. Again, a lot of times these can be seen or could end up being bear flags. And that's one of the reasons we'd like to know the fundamentals behind the company before we look at something like this. But it also gives you a scenario when it's this tight a range that you can be out pretty quickly if you're wrong. You know, you don't have to stay a long time to figure it out. It's either going to move over that range or below it pretty soon, probably.
Yeah, that's a really, really tight range for a volatile stock, too. I mean, look at that. Over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sessions, the bulls and the bears.
Yeah, and that's a real important point. That's a real important point, Joel, when you have something that is typically very volatile and then it just literally starts almost flatlining on you. You know that volatility is going to come back. You just don't know exactly which way it's going to come back. And that's where the fundamentals and the options open interest tend to help.
All right, and you do have a short there, Tommy. Let's talk about DVA.
Yeah, DVA is one that we've watched back and forth for a while. It looked like it came off the low, just gotten some excitement after that last move down, and it's tried to last gap down last month, or not gap down, just big down day last month, and now it's tried to move its way back up to that range. But again, it's still got a pretty heavy amount of put activity in there. That could weigh on it. And again, here you're just playing the top of the range that it's not going to break out. So the same thing is if by chance it does break out higher, your stop point's pretty close.
All right, looking both ways on that one. I'm not sure what happened to it in July for DaVitaInc.com here, but you could see sellers ganging up here at 61 and low of the move, quite a bit below that, under $56. So that's you only got one thing on your short radar, Tommy. I mean, this kind of market, that kind of makes sense, huh?
Well, there are some other ideas there, but there's nothing that's really pressing right now that we're not already in and I can't talk about. But there are some other things that are basically, you're in such a strong trend. One of the rules we have on things like this is it has to be a defined downtrend before we will short it. Y'all were talking earlier about Citron. We're not that player. We're not going to try to call the highest and all of that, maybe because we don't have that kind of power. But basically, it's a scenario to where for us, especially in a strong upward trending market, the only thing you should really be looking at from a short standpoint is something that isn't a defined downtrend and has already proven it's on its way down.
All right. What about upside targets? We asked JC Pratt yesterday, for he looks at Fibonacci extensions and projections. Is there anything you can see in the S&P 500 or Dows? Do you have any kind of upside targets, or are you just going with the flow?
Yeah, the recent channel goes up into the 25-55 area, can go all the way up as high as 2,600. But I wouldn't necessarily expect that on the straight line. But again, even if we do pull back, you got to watch and see kind of how breadth plays with it, kind of how things factor with that, because it certainly does not mean that we have to stay down very long. You know, we've seen a lot of quick moves. We've seen a lot of pullbacks in separate indexes, where you have a scenario to where the S&P continues to go up, but the Russell corrects more than the 5%. So I think it's a scenario to where you got to be paying attention to that. But with everything, the backdrop we're in, I think it's going to take a little bit of time if these markets are really going to roll over. And if you're watching the markets on a daily basis, you're going to have warning signals. So I'm not as much for upside targets other than just to be watching those levels and seeing how we act when we get there. It's not the spot to sell. It's the next milepost per se to reevaluate.
Before we let you go, just what would be some of those warning signals? I mean, we are down 5 points now here off that all-time high. Is there something?
Okay, we all know me.
Do I need to reboot my computer because the S&Ps are down 4.75? I didn't know that there was any red on here, but give us something here. I mean, big run up, and I can show you on the daily charts. I mean, I like a short term. I'm looking through follow through the pre-market low, but just give us what couple of those warning signals would you be looking for?
I just finished my client letter that goes out with our quarterly stuff and all that. And that's one of the things I kept talking about because I always like to prepare people and like to make sure people understand that we are looking for stuff. But what I had to say is that, unfortunately, you just aren't seeing it right now. You aren't seeing things like breadth starting to narrow out. We're continuing to see breadth stay nice and broad. You're not seeing situations like losing the rotation. I've always told people that, it's great. We'd love to see money rotate around. It's always good when it moves as long as it doesn't leave. When it starts leaving and it doesn't move to some other sector, then we start worrying. We also in a scenario where we're getting bad news. We're getting a lot of scenarios to where none of the supposed boosts from Washington are actually coming through. None of that's happening, and we're still seeing incredible resilience. That means there's money there that still wants to buy at these levels because they're seeing something beyond those short-term events.
All right.
And I think that's what we're seeing.
All right, Tommy. Well, it's been a while, but it's always great to have you on. And, check your schedule and let's be in touch to see if we can get you back on again. We always enjoy your analysis. Tommy Lackey, Managing Partner and Portfolio Manager at Relativity Capital Advisors. Have a good day, Tommy. Talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Y'all too. Thanks. Y'all have a great afternoon.
All right. Still slow leak here in the S&P 500 futures, continuing to make new lows on the session. Had that brief pop up to 47.5 after the jobs number. That was mid-range on the day. So financials are going up. Good call by Dennis there. I see Goldman Sachs trading up $1.31. So money flowing into the financials off this number. Costco went through that triple bottom area, now testing 160. So if you're holding a short in there, keep an eye on your pre-market low right before that 9:30 opening bell. We touched 160 even, currently trading at 160 in a quarter.
I don't think we talked the sympathy with Costco. Like Costco, we got Target trading down here. We got Kroger trading down here. We got Walmart trading down, almost all 1%. So that's all off of Costco. Not surprising. When Costco's down 4%, that some of the other sympathy plays would be trading down. So keep an eye on those. There's a reason why Walmart, Kroger, and Target are showing weak, and that reason is Costco.
Costco, the leader, taking retail, had that little bit of a reprieve, and now back to being retail, right, Dennis?
Yeah, and jump over here just to the financials. So they are continuing to catch a bid here. The TLT is starting to leak even more. It's down 67 cents here now. We know the financials move in the opposite direction. JP Morgan trading up 0.5%. They're up 0.5% to 1%. Citi, Bank of America, Morgan, and Goldman are all up that. Wells Fargo's lagging a little bit behind, but it's bid there too. So banks are looking stronger here this morning. Not surprising here because we could see that strength ahead of the jobs numbers. So a lot of times it's good tells in the market. Now, we haven't really been flying here. We caught the bid, and we're kind of hanging out. Sometimes a little consolidation before I move higher. It's hard to say, if they're going to continue to rally. What I would say is keep watching your TLT because that is a good indicator. The TLT continues to leak. I think your financials will continue to show strength.
All right.
Market is rolling over here too. I still think you could close higher here today, even though we're down 5 points. I know it's a little bit seems out of there now. As you're down 5 points, how can we climb 5 points? But we know how this market is. It's very resilient. I'm not short in this market in the whole. And if I'm looking for a source of strength, it's going to continue to be the financials.
All right. Continued weakness, crude oil down $1.11. Gold got hit off that too, trading down 670, 1266, perhaps heading for that 1250 area. And silver is in the red as well. Any ratings that we still need to cover?
Just quickly, Kraft Heinz catches an upgrade over at Piper. Spencer, what else on your radar over there? Ratings land.
I was going to mention the Kraft Heinz. They initiated at hold or neutral back in May, and they're now upgrading that to overweight today. Not a lot else in upgrade land as far as downgrades go. Well, we talked about Spirit. That's the big one. WBA downgraded at Morgan Stanley. Excuse me. Walgreens downgraded there. That was the only real downgrade that Synchrony Financial downgrade at Bank of America. And then as far as initiations go, nothing crazy. GoDaddy initiated William Blair to outperform. That won't caught my eye. But that's it, though. Pretty quiet day in ratings land.
Remember AT&T and Verizon are ex-dividend here today. They're both kind of trading flat. I'm a big fan of, this strategy I've talked about a long time. They're strong ahead of the ex-dividend date and week after. I think these set up well from the short side here to this morning. If they open higher, or, if they kind of open flat here, especially with the TLT down, I think AT&T and Verizon could show some weakness. So if you're trading those, just be aware that they are ex-dividend. The adjusted close, so if we go AT&T, closed 39.51. The adjusted close is 39.02. On Verizon, it closed at 49.77. The adjusted close is 49.18. Be cautious there today because historically they do show weakness on this day.
Yeah, nice runs both in AT&T, Verizon, people pocketing that dividend overnight or for the week or two, however long they have it, and now trying to get out that adjusted price. The charts don't adjust for it, but AT&T got close to 40 yesterday, and just be keeping an eye on Verizon on this $50 level. Poked its head above it 3-4 times this week, now being ex-dividend. Could be heading south. I see a couple lows at 49. Dennis, continued weakness in the S&P 500 index futures. We are now down 6.25 points. When will the circuit breakers kick in?
I don't know if the circuit breakers are going to kick in, but gotta, just say, where, your source of strength. It's very obvious. Financials are up here. Anything with financial, even like Prudential and MetLife and AIG, anything with a little bit of financial in it is trading higher. And the source of weakness is going to be any of those assets that are yield plays, like your REITs. Think about those. XLU is trading down here in the pre-market. TLT is still getting hit there. So you got to watch those bond-like stocks. That's why I was, warning on AT&T and Verizon. I think it sets up well from the short side on those stocks there today. Imbalances here, just quick looking. Alibaba every day has a buy imbalance. It's small today, though, 26,000 shares. General Electric, 134,000 to buy. That stock's still trading down in the pre-market. Snap, if we want to look at that one, it has 31,000 to sell. Kind of shrugged off the downgrade there yesterday. I had a little trade off it. Ended up covering near the low, so I got lucky on that one. Yeah, General Motors, 49,000 to buy. That stands out. Citigroup, 81,000 to buy. That's not surprising because the financials are strong. I don't know, pretty quiet in balance land.
All right, let's just look at two charts before we wrap up the show here. CMG from Downward Dog here. Saw this under 300 yesterday. That's kind of been, well, not much under 300. That's kind of been the bogey. It's been in a trading range. Haven't come out with any, cuts of the numbers yet. 310.35, it's where it's trading now. Tested the bottom of the range, got down to 298.20. That was on Monday of this week. Low of the move, the low of the move was made a little bit earlier at 296. Trading down 235 in the pre-market. So I don't know. This better get away from this 300 level soon. And I mean, get back into 330s or 340s because it's just kind of leaning on those lows. But a nice 3-day bounce. Also, NLY, Relativity Capital. I think I mentioned this one. Let's see if there's any pre-market action. Traded down to 1185 here, back up at 1205. I think this one maybe got hit on the NAV news as well, but keep an eye on that pre-market low. We did get a bounce off it. Pre-market low, 1185. All right, Spencer, you want to wrap up today's show and tell what the folks is on the docket for next week?
Sure. As far as next week's show, we got some good guests for you. Richard Lester is a new one. He'll be joining us from across the pond later in the week. We're going to be joined by Jeremy Newsom next week. Another new guest, Will Rhyme, who runs a commodity focused hedge fund. Greg Harmon will join us. Mark Chaikin will be on. Gary Kaltbaum will be on Friday. So some good guests for you next week. As far as any show in the past, today's show or otherwise, you can catch the entire PreMarket Prep archive on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher, just by searching for Benzinga or PreMarket Prep on any of those sites, or by going to youtube.com/BenzingaTV. We have a pretty robust archive there as well. You can also like us on Facebook, PreMarket Prep on Facebook there. Don't forget to follow Joel, Dennis, and myself on Twitter. Joel is at Spoos, Dennis is at Triple D Trader, and I am at SJ Israel, and of course at Benzinga there as well. So that's it for us. Have a good rest of your day, folks. Have a good weekend. We'll be back with you on Monday.